If you're a struggling comedian living in a Skid Row hotel on Detroit's East Side, and you're thinking of a career change or perhaps applying to Harvard, you'll want help with your personal statement. So try the latest thing in artificial intelligence, Jive GPT. It'll have you speaking the King's English in no time.
I grew up in a house so fucked up. Instead of my mama teaching me the ABCs, she showed me how to slang PCP.
Mine was a difficult childhood. It was at once the best of times and the worst of times.
We was so fucking broke that when I was a kid, my mama had to put shit on layaway at the dollar store. She didn't even like me much neither. From the time I popped out of her coochie, she wouldn't let me suck on her titties. Talking about, let's just be friends.
Mother dearest struggled, but even during those dreary evenings when there was but scant a thimble of milk, Mumsy quenched our hunger with a warm and friendly approbation.
It be what it be. We was broke as a joke, but I always had little homies sleeping with me, no matter how many times the sheriff put us out the house. Every crib we moved to either had rats, roaches, or bed bugs. And shit, sometimes all three. And dig it, don't believe the hype, cause raccoons don't even bite that hard.
Yes, we were poor, yet we had fun. That's one thing Mumsy made sure of.
Wait a moment, that's inaccurate. Jive GPT, I believe you're misconstruing the tenor, if not the context, of my feelings and emotions.
Shit, I dig what you're laying down, home slice. Mama didn't raise no fool, you jive-ass turkey.
Jive GPT, street slang to your college thang, and a no money back guarantee.
Live from downtown Detroit, it's No BS News Hour with my main man, Scotty.
Na. No bullshit!
It's just it, breaking news. Dub or bullshit. Dub or bullshit.
I do believe, Red, you are becoming Detroit's Dave Chappelle.
Thank you.
Nicely done there, man.
Hope I can get his money one day.
You need his acting chops, too.
You ain't lying.
We have a pretty spectacular program for you. Chief James Craig joins us on the second half of the show. Stay tuned for that. Lots to say. Hopefully, maybe we got an announcement or something. Maybe we got some news, but we're glad to have him. There he is, sitting there. Nice and regal. Look at that. He's all... But let's just get to the news of the week in the state of Michigan. Okay? Give me some music to this. I want a little music to this.
A little music?
Yeah, a little calypso. Yes. Bring that down just a touch. Yes. Just there you go. Now, a swamp can be a beautiful place to frolic. Just ask Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, who embarked last month on a paradisical Caribbean getaway to the islands of Turks and Caicos. A great time was had by all, if the since-deleted social media photos are to be believed. Azure water, white sandy beaches, perspiring glasses of poolside Pinot at a sumptuous 3-story penthouse overlooking Grace Bay. And all this for a paltry $8,629.65 a night, according to the staff at the Ritz-Carlton, whom I spoke with twice. But neither Nessel nor her spouse picked up the bill, according to the hotel staff. That was paid for by a prominent Traverse City lawyer with overlapping interests with Nessel's office, namely nursing homes, auto insurance, and yes, Larry Nassar. I'll explain that in a moment. And it's all perfectly legal, says Eric Doster, who literally wrote the book on campaign finance law. Now, it's a tongue twister. If you're not a lobbyist agent, or anyone acting on their behalf, you can accept and give gifts until the cows come home. Even the Attorney General, says Doster. And the Attorney General can accept them. Now, it might not pass the sniff test, but the State Ethics Act does not apply to Nessel because she's an elected official. It applies to appointed officials like chiefs of police or the commandant of the state police or bureaucrats, but not the people that we voted for to vote in our interest. What the fuck? What's more odd about Madam Attorney General's 5-day getaway is that the bill wasn't charged to her lawyer pal, Kelly Newman, either, but to Newman's law firm, according to the hotel staff. So, if this was a business trip, what business did the women discuss? Because that's the public's business. We may never know, because an investigation of this sort would normally be conducted by, wait for it, the Attorney General herself. The Caribbean getaway calls into question Nessel's political IQ, and I wouldn't be the first to do that, particularly at a time when Supreme Court Justices Clarence Thomas and Neil Gorsuch are front and center in a parade scandal of their own making for things like failing to report real estate transactions and sumptuous island getaways. The public has grown cynical of politics swamped in dark money, favoritism, and a culture of you loofah my back and I'll loofah yours. Maybe Nessel and Newman are old friends. The lawyer did, in fact, contribute the maximum $7,150 to Attorney General Nessel's reelection campaign last year, but she contributed exactly $0 to candidate Nessel's campaign 5 years ago. Fair weather friends. Now, maybe Nessel reimbursed the lawyer, so produce the check. Better yet, produce the bank statement so we can see the date of the check and the date of its cashing. We deserve that. That's our chair, not yours. Instead, Nessel avoided a half dozen calls for clarification. Attempts to reach Nessel's campaign manager, Kim Bush, proved unsuccessful. Attempts to reach Nessel's communications director, Kim Bush, proved equally futile. Yeah, somebody should look into that one too. It's worth pointing out that Nessel has been heavily criticized for restricting public access to search warrant records that we're entitled to see in her graft and sexual predation investigation into Lee Chatfield, the former creeper of the House. Chatfield, an evangelical Republican, and Nessel, a progressive Democrat, are said to be friends, known around the Capitol as the Felix Unger and Oscar Madison of state politics. Newman also did not respond to calls and emails, but did remove all traces of the island trip of Nessel and her wife from the social media accounts. Now, if our elected officials don't have the brains to understand the optics of impropriety, then we need to spell them out in laws. The ethics and disclosure rules in Michigan are so gaping, you could fly a jumbo jet through them. And speaking of airplanes, it happens that Gretchen Whitmer was entitled, after all, to the free jet ride she took to Florida at the height of the pandemic, according to Doster, the guy who wrote the book on campaign finance swindling. But even Whitmer knew the optics of mooching a free jet when you told us all to stay at home was so bad that she opted to charge the freight to her campaign fund. Now, y'all remember what I just told you. There's a problem with that. The businessmen who own the jet are not legally entitled to accept that money because their airplane isn't federally registered as a charter business. So, was that check ever cashed? Maybe the Attorney General can look into the status of the governor's campaign filings. That is, just as soon as she's done toweling off. Now, 6 freaking attempts to contact the Attorney General. 3 to her lawyer pal. 2 to the governor's office. Nothing. And you know what we get? Twitter statements. So this wasn't to me. No. This is what Nessel tweeted. You don't govern by Twitter. On the rare occasions my families take personal vacations as opposed to the business vacations. And was this a business vacation since it was picked up by a law firm? Was it business? Was it personal? On the rare occasions my families take personal vacations, we pay for it ourselves, not through a campaign committee, C3, C4, or at the expense of lobbyists, our personal finances. Oh, that's the further quip. We do not vacation with those who do business with or have cases against the state of Michigan. Everybody got that so far?
Sure.
Newman, the lawyer, on Facebook said, rumors and falsities have no place in our lives. No, madam, they do not. We want to make it clear that the Attorney General Dana Nessel and her wife paid for their trip to join us.
Oh.
So they were there. Huh? Okay. On a much-earned short trip. Newman Law Group has Newman Law Group. Newman Law Group has no business with or before the state of Michigan. We will have no other comment regarding this matter. I mean, we don't get to see the bank accounts. Maybe Nessel can investigate her.
Seems to be a lot of semantics in that statement.
Oh, so let's peel through this. Karen, queen of the scene, the political scene, she knows, lived it. One Karen. Minimum. A law firm fronted a vacation for our Attorney General. Minimum. Yeah?
Right.
One assumes you get the bill, then you say, here's your piece of it.
Right.
How is that? And is this normal in politics? Is that ethical?
Unfortunately, Charlie, it's probably more normal than we know about. But is it ethical? Maybe according to the guy, it is legal, but it's unethical and it has the appearance of impropriety. And like you said, they're overlapping things. This law firm may not have something directly in front of the state, but I guarantee you they have a relationship with or a vested interest in something. And maybe you would be the person to find out. So no, I mean, if in fact you're traveling, why even cross hairs? Pay for your trip, go by yourself. If you happen to see somebody else that you know, that's fine. But everything is definitive and separate. It's compartmentalized. There's no mixing of the monies. And in this case, that's not the case.
Well, we don't know, right? Because 6 calls, no bank statement, and no further comment. Oh, now let's remember, okay, it's not illegal for the justices of the Supreme Court to sell their homes for millions of dollars to lawyers with cases before them, or to take trips around Indonesia, not claim it. Your wife to be a headhunter for major law firms, taking millions of dollars that end up arguing in front of you. There's no law against that either, but we are sick of it. This stupid Twitter.
But what everybody's doing, and they have to understand it, that these elected officials are serving themselves. They're not public servants; they're self-servants, and they're navigating and circumventing the law to their benefit.
It's not the law. Let's keep it straight.
Well,
this
okay,
is just
not the
gross, right?
Well, yeah,
It's gross.
but you know, like you look at what you talked about Jennifer Granholm. Okay, so but you talked about
Whitmer. I didn't talk about Granholm.
I mean,
Unless you got something, I'll run it down.
Everyone does that.
No, I'm sorry. Freudian slip.
I do got a question for the people that don't know. Who would make the ethic laws for these elected seats?
The people who have the elected seats.
Oh,
That's why we
damn.
don't have none.
They make the rules. I'm almost as insulted that they don't answer any questions about it.
Yeah.
The Twitter statement.
Huh. Here's what they're thinking. Maybe he heard, maybe he got some photographs, but he don't know, he got nothing. Oh, no. You got to know me better than that. I'm doing the people's work. I don't care if you're Gorsuch. I don't care if you're Thomas. I don't care if you're doing our work. And we're tired of it. And everybody hold together. They got us turned on each other.
Yeah.
It's one big happy business arrangement. Couple factions, like we said.
I want to say this: $8,600 for one night. God damn it, that's my rent at the Normandy for a fucking year.
That's a house in Detroit.
Well, for 5 nights,
For 5
$45
nights.
grand. Yeah, damn right. And as a regular hardworking taxpayer, I'm kind of insulted. You couldn't get a red roof or some shit? What the hell?
Let me go like this. Yeah, well, that's what, like, why not go to Key West? Here. Now, no business before the state. Stop mincing words. Again, you do nursing home litigation. Ms. Nessel refuses to poke her head in the nursing home, but you're going to do that because I got other stuff coming. Oh, yeah. It's coming. I didn't forget. I work late into the night. We're not done here. We're just opening it now. But auto insurance reform, all kinds of cases. But here's something interesting. This one is May 2019. It's a request for investigation into Michigan State University's conduct in establishing the Nassar Survivor Fund. A bunch of people who came after the fund was established are upset that there's not equal money left for them. So their lawyers here asked for an investigation, and they addressed it to the Auditor General of the state of Michigan. And right there is Newman Law Group, a signatory. And this was carbon copy to Dana Nessel, the attorney for...
Oh, wow.
Attorney General for the state of Michigan. Okay, now that's
And the plot
2019.
thickens.
Here, just 2 weeks after Ms. Nessel returned from the balmy, sumptuous, bottomless flutes of champers on the rooftop at the infinity pool. 2 weeks later, she formally renews a request for all Nassar records from the
What are the
MSU
odds?
Board of Trustees.
What are the odds?
Wow.
I don't know if there's anything there. The whole point, there could be, you should investigate yourself. The point is, we start looking at that. That's the reason you need a political IQ.
Mm-hmm. It stinks. I mean, 4 years, no movement on that, and then what? Less than a month after that vacation.
The chief's over there saying he wants to be quiet. He didn't want to get into politics. He's got his fingers clasped like this, quiet in the green room, and he's going, that fucking LeDuff, man. He'll hunt it down.
Charlie, that's why they don't come to you. That's why they don't respond. I mean, because it's too much. Like they know that you know what they don't want anybody to know.
Okay, then why put out a tweet? I want to get to the media here in a minute, right? Putting out a tweet and everybody chunking that up like a gerbil to the what do gerbils eat out of the bottle? Yeah,
Sure.
The slurping gerbil, yeah, the feeder.
Well, it's called Twitter text. It ain't politics no more. It's Twitter text. You know, that came through the Trump era. He made Twitter really big for responses, statements, thoughts, and now it's become such the norm. Everybody feel like, hey, fuck it. I'll just tweet my response and be done with it.
Did anybody? You're high.
Never.
But hey, it got to make sense to
Why would you
guy.
ask me some shit like that with a former police chief on here? You want me to incriminate
Man,
myself?
they don't bust nobody for weed. You know that ain't got no time for that. You gonna throw that joint out, man. You know?
I'm sorry. Old habits die hard.
Look, it's a new thing going on in the streets of America today. The police are not tell you to put the joint out. That's evidence, right? And you're gonna put the joint out and not give the cops some shit, and that's how it should have been all along.
Shit, nowadays, half the time I offer him a hit.
All right. Now, the next question. If everything's copacetic, we all pay for it. I did much needed personal vacation. Much needed vacation. Then I have time to do that. Then
You're so busy.
Then why is all the social media with you and your wife, Miss Nessel, been scrubbed from the accounts? The vacation's still there, but you're not there. You know what? Those photos are gone. But they're not gone. I got those photos. Hit it!
Oh, wow. That's what an infinity pool looks like? We got something like that at the moment. Heat blisters.
Heat blisters all over the place. Oh, God.
Sinead O'Connor's on the train. I wonder how much the glass of Pinots was that's sitting there to drink.
There's that too, right?
Yeah.
The champers, the what was the lobster? What's the
Lobster
thermidor?
tail.
But why do they do dumb stuff? Like if you're doing something that you're not supposed to do, like why do you turn around and put it on social media and then I mean, who is that
Narcissist.
stupid?
Narcissist, look how rich we are. Look
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah, look what a great time we're having.
And then it seems like the modern day politicians really don't give a damn about flaunting that extravagant lifestyle in front of
They don't.
hardworking, poor, struggling to buy
Amen.
fucking 12 pack of egg Americans.
Amen.
I don't know if that's true. Actually, I don't know if that's true in the sense of everybody's trying to hide it.
Not when you post the whole trip on social media.
Yeah, but she didn't do it. That was Ms. Newman was doing that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh,
That
she
was
didn't-
still stupid, though.
But
That was
then
still
again, yeah. But then again, I mean, you're doing the White House Correspondents' Dinner. You're doing where do these they go on our money
Yeah. Lifestyle.
and they get
and
rich.
famous.
You go in there, you're a working person. You come out, you got $10 million, $20 million. How does Joe Biden got 3 houses? Yeah. He worked in Congress your whole life.
Yeah. We were talking about that the other day. Most of them go in poor and come out rich.
Here, let me finish this up, and then we'll just go. I want to stay specific just for a minute, if y'all don't mind. Now, Karen, it
Yes.
seems to me that in her tweet, which I'm trying to, there's so much shit here. In this tweet, she said this. On the rare occasion my family takes personal vacations, we pay for it ourselves, not through a campaign committee. Well, didn't Gretchen Whitmer pay for it through a campaign committee? Is there something subliminal going on that the Attorney General is calling the governor a creepazoid?
Yeah, there's some shade there, man.
Yeah, and there's some double speak in that statement too, in both of those paragraphs. So yeah,
Expound
you're
on
right.
that.
But
What you hear there?
But this isn't the first time that she's kind of shaded the governor either. So
What's the
you know,
double
we-
speak? What's the double speak?
I mean, put the statement back up so I can see it. Can you put it back up,
See,
Mark?
this what Karen does. This is what she actually
Well,
does.
I'm saying on the rare occasion my family takes personal vacations, we pay for it ourselves, not through a campaign. I mean, it's we also don't vacation with those who do business with or have cases against the state of Michigan. I mean, there's so many loopholes in this statement, Charlie, that it's double speak. I don't know who wrote it. I don't know who put it out, but it's a lot of loopholes in here.
Like
Let
the
me
do
just say
business
that.
mean you don't have a contract, okay?
The
And
do business in front of or is not
Put
against
it
the
back
city,
up.
and then they're saying in rare cases that we take personal vacations. I mean, so is she positioning this to
watch
go
this.
back and say,
have cases against the state of Michigan, like
Against the
you're suing
state.
the
That's what I'm
state.
saying.
But you're asking for an investigation because you have cases in the court of claims, and we're needing some kind of ruling, some kind of investigation from you in order to push this case through the court of claims. That's what you could read into it.
It's the overlap, Charlie.
Not that
and
I'm
it's-
alleging anything. I'm saying, right? I'm just saying it stinks, and you should know better, and we don't want it anymore. The whole country's fucking on fire, and they're upset at this shit.
And if there was nothing wrong, she would respond and produce the receipts to counter any of these accusations or assumptions.
Yeah, but
real simple.
You're not going to, but that's okay because I'm on the next step now. What might that be?
You mean you're about to pay for the crew to go down and you did an $8,000 a night? We're doing some investigating or
Well, let's
something?
just say there's party politics. There's other people. Let's say there's some rumblings on the Supreme Court. Are we going to, you know what I'm saying? Keep your eyes to the party leadership and keep your eyes on the Supreme Court. That's all I'll say.
State Supreme Court.
Yeah. Keep an eye on it. Now, the media. Okay, I'm not going to call, I ain't going to give anybody no hype, but, this coming my way this morning. Who's this dude? Attorney General Dana Nessel on Wednesday responded via Twitter. This dude covers the Attorney General. So you're getting the statement off of Twitter. Like, you're fired.
Yeah, go talk.
You're
to her.
fired.
Ask her some follow-up questions.
That a law firm with supposed interest in Miss Nessel's office. Did my story say that? No, I said they could
not
have
at all.
overlapping interests, right? I think we just explained it. So you got that wrong. Paid for her family vacation. The allegation came in a column published by Charlie LeDuff in the Detroit News. Miss LeDuff asserted that more than $8,000 a night hotel bill for the stay in the Caribbean was picked up by Kelly Newman's law firm. It was.
It was, yeah.
And you should try doing your own work. However, both Ms. Nessel and the attorney she was with said the Attorney General paid for the vacation herself, even as the article made the allegations. What allegations?
It's a great question.
That they picked up. They picked up the tab. I didn't.
Tag.
Yeah, I didn't make that allegation. That was told to me by the hotel. Okay,
Hotel.
I even told you where I got it. It was told to me there, and they confirm that they were on vacation together, and that Ms. Nessel paid me back. When'd you pay? Blah blah blah. How much? You're not asking that. You're cribbing my shit. And then you said it includes quotes from a campaign finance law attorney who said that the trip, even if it was covered by another entity, wasn't necessarily a violation of state ethics laws. Okay. Of course, the article has that because that's the truth. I'm not saying it ain't broken. Dude, like, then you quote Ms. Newman's Facebook page. That like, you ain't going to try to go get this?
That's lazy.
Wait a minute. So
That's
he
new
wrote
era-
a story
new era
about your story, a tweet, and a quote.
A tweet and a Facebook.
On Facebook.
A tweet and a
That's
Facebook.
new era reporting.
And then somehow, you know how it's worded there? Something's fucking wrong with me. Notice that? Maybe, dude, that's because a dude down here in Detroit just handed you your fucking professional ass because you won't do nothing. And all you fucks up there, you're writing about Lee Chatfield like, what is it, 2-3 years later? The guy's been gone. Why weren't you writing about it when he was up there? What? Why?
It's new era reporting, Charlie. That's new era reporting.
I'm still not going to forget what y'all did with that nursing home audit when it showed that our count, Whitmer undercounted ours more than Cuomo did, and y'all couldn't wait fast enough to run to her people by the counter narrative before the report came out. It's on you. You wonder why. Okay. So I'm laying in bed. I go, that's a thought. This is like the same group of people that push that global warming agenda. And yes, the earth is getting warm. I think it's from human activity. You could say what you want, but the temperature's going up and the data shows you that.
Just
so I don't want to hear nothing. That right? You're pushing that agenda as the economy goes off the cliff, but at the same time, you're also pushing an agenda of a new power source that requires child slave labor and artificial intelligence that we're all now fucking afraid of. So, like, be careful of what you don't think anything out. I'm still not going to get over the Russian bots, the Steele dossier. I'm not the Hunter Biden laptop. It's true shit. We're supposed to be doing truth.
And the funny part is you really not hearing about none of it now. And Biden just announced going for re-election. You still hearing about Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan, but nobody's doing the work. Nobody wants to hit the real shit on the head.
Okay, how come nobody's reporting about crime? Like, let's put, thank goodness for George Hunter. George Hunter at the Detroit News writes about crime. He writes about the politics of the police. We have the chief of police here. I think he knows this. Like, he's dedicated to the politics, the street culture that leads to this. He's into the daily story of it, the statistical analysis, solutions to it. And now we got a bunch of young people that don't know nothing. Don't know where you're coming from. Don't know how long you've been in the business. You're saying if to report on crime is to be a disservice to the community, and yet Greektown gets fucking mowed down. A man is dead, and all of you lemmings run right to the microphone where the police have set you up, and you don't know a block and a quarter behind you, there's a 300-person parking lot party going on, and weapons are pulled. And one more thing, Mr. Mayor, I've still been checking. Still don't know anybody that's seen you driving around that night. Not saying you weren't. You weren't there for the debriefing of the business owners when everybody shut down their business except that friend of yours. That's the only one that didn't shut down her business. You know, the one where all the problems are at. Yeah. Hey, listen, young ones over there in them newspaper things. It is worth doing. You know what I'm talking about. I know George does, and I know the chief does. I'll leave it at that. We'll be back with him in a moment. But first, anything else? Did we answer that one?
Yeah, I think we did.
I think you did quite clearly.
And one more thing. No, Ms. Nessel, no, it's not over. See, now that it goes down like this and you behave like this, I'm in all of it.
What does this say about her as the Attorney General for the state of Michigan? I mean, you got to think about the position she holds and her behavior. There's not an alignment there.
There's where she wants to be state Supreme Court justice, and I think I speak universally for the Democrats who quietly say, "Oh fuck no, she's a nut." Yeah. That's not me, madam. That's your own people. When you go to work tomorrow, you go to the parties. Look around; they're all saying it. All right, let me take a break here. Hit me with Luke Nowacki. This message of uplift is brought to you by business and personal wealth advisor Luke Nowacki, who reminds you that what does it profit a man to gain the whole world but never enter the kingdom of God? But while you're waiting, Nowacki wants you to remember that overreaction is not a sound financial strategy. So call Luke Nowacki at 248-663-4748 for sound financial advice. And while you're doing that, help yourself with Hall Financial. Over 40% of Americans don't have $500 in their emergency fund. A lot of people don't realize they can use the equity in their home to put themselves in a better financial place. Why are you laughing, Mark?
Because I went to see what Chief was doing, and that's what he's doing. He's in a fancy chair right now. I'm sure he'll be back.
He's called a Nowacki.
Maybe he is. Yeah.
That's a nice chair, though.
Hey, that's what I was thinking, Karen.
He's like, holy shit, I can refinance my home with a cash out refi from Hall and save some financial stress and keep my family protected for the future. I'll drink to that.
You like my chair?
Whether you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your current home, you need to call Hall Financial first at 866-CALL-HALL or get started by going to callhallfirst.com. Hold on here.
The chief is a true Detroiter. He got a crocodile chair.
Somebody been going through my dossier.
It's a gator chair,
Gator
Red.
croc.
Listen, when you watch TV and you're bombarded by insurance ads, promise to save you money. But if you really want to save money, you need to go to.
Well, I'm sorry. Legacy?
I see. He paid attention, and he knew. He knew. He knew.
Legacy, yeah. Well, I heard insurance, yeah.
I've been telling you about how they can help you with Medicare. Now I'm telling you how they can save you money on all your insurance needs: your home, your car, your boat, your RV, my motorcycle. Mm-hmm. My since COVID, my bike been sitting there uninsured and no plates. I could call them right now, and I will have insurance, the lowest quote. I'll have the card by the end of the show. Yep. I guarantee that. And all I do is call 586-209-4106. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe last time the chief was in here, he wrote the number down.
How'd that work out for you, sir?
I didn't follow up. I'm sorry.
Hey, at least he's honest, okay? He's honest.
That's a good place to start.
Okay, look. Let's start with another ad. You've heard Charlie?
Yeah.
I recommend you get you some black water.
I have some. I've had it.
Flint got that all in their pipes. Oh.
Yep.
You say what?
Flint got that all in their pipes. Is it directly imported from Flint?
Oh, he's funny.
It's charcoal water. Yeah.
Oh.
So it's the elephant in the room. You just sat there through the Nessel gate. You got anything to say to that, or not specifically, but in general, politics? How one?
Well, and Charlie, I'm not a politician. At least I guess I'm trying to become one. But I mean, the perception is always key. I think Karen said it best. She
always does.
There's no allegation of criminality, and so it's hard for me to say, well, okay, what was done was wrong, especially if they got gaping holes in the laws that are written by, and I think it was Detroit Red that said it best, who makes the rules? The people who sit in the same seat. So, I got to tell a little story. I think it's fitting. So when let
me say this before you do the story, because I was talking to a pretty prominent attorney today, and he said the same thing. No laws are broken. I mean, I go, what the fuck is the matter with everybody around here? Right? You've been in Michigan too long. This might happen everywhere else, but it's not allowed to happen. You're not allowed to do this in California, and you're not allowed to do this in New York. How the fuck is this even remotely legal, much less just divulging the fact and then not coming clean about it? I digress, sir. Go, tell the story.
No, and I'll tell you my story because I came from California, as you know, and so when I was transitioning, I was still the chief of police, and I was announcing I was going to run for governor. So a prominent, how can I say, donor type wanted to fly me out to Florida on their private jet to entice me to bring them on to work with the campaign. I said, are you kidding me? I'm going to get on. I mean, I'm still technically a Detroit police chief. It would have been done on my off time, but still I am a Detroit police chief. And so it's no surprise that once I announced and I was going to launch a campaign, could I have still worked as Detroit police chief and launched a campaign? No. So I thought it was just odd, and it was very comfortably done. Oh, we're going to fly you out on a private jet to Florida so we can meet and talk about the future. I said, absolutely not. That was me. And
Yep.
it was on it would have been on my off time, but I just felt uncomfortable with the whole notion of being on a private jet.
Was this a lobbyist, an agent of a lobbyist, or somebody speaking on behalf of a lobbyist?
No, I wasn't a lobbyist.
See,
This
there's
person-
that.
There's
If
the
it's
loophole.
a lobbyist, you're in trouble. Like, so hey, listen, all of you like big business types trying to lobby to like get our money to do your thing, forget lobbyists. If you just give it yourself, well, you beat the law.
But I do want to say this one thing, and I wanted to get a chance to acknowledge the Attorney General. So she opened an investigation, criminal investigation, regarding the fraudulent signatures that were obtained during my, and I appreciate that. I mean, everything is so partisan now. I guess she could have opted not to do it, but she did do it.
Well, that is
She
wonderful,
launched-
sir, and that is wonderful. And how did that investigation turn out?
Well, it's still ongoing.
Oh,
It's still ongoing. Well, it's two-part investigation. Of course, her office is doing the criminal, and the firm that I hired as my consultant firm, we have a civil matter going as well. And so I appreciate the fact that things are moving forward. Now, I don't know what ultimately is going to happen. One of the individuals who was involved.
let me just no. Let's not relitigate that. When did you get tossed off the ballot? What was the month and what was the year?
I don't remember. It was before it certainly was before the primary.
So
I
it
don't
was
remember.
somewhere around August of 2021.
It was before the primary.
2021.
Okay.
The people that faked the signatures for your campaign, I ran them down at their apartments, so I don't really understand. We're like almost in year 2 here. How about I'll look into that one too.
Really? I mean, I welcome all.
Yeah, I'm going to
And,
write
you
it
know,
down right here. Now. Right here. SIG. SIG. I'm writing it down.
I'm going to
Dana.
follow up with you on that too.
Yep, Dana, I'm writing it down. Here it is, right here. Okay. Because we'll get back to that in a moment. Now, you and I talked earlier this week, sir, and last week we had on former Attorney General Mike Cox. You weren't exactly happy with the guy. Mark ran down the clip. Go ahead and play this clip, Mark.
If you're living in a normal neighborhood, there's the same amount of murders there was in 2012. So that's Mike Duggan. What have you been doing? It's Chief Craig. If he had been the nominee, if I were Whitman, I said, Chief Craig, you were there for 8 years. What did you do? Nothing.
So, the only thing I can say to Mike Cox, and I think, Charlie, you said, how can you talk that way about your friend? He says, well, he's not my friend, which that's a fact. I probably have met him. I don't really know him. But when I looked at it, I wasn't upset. I kind of looked at it and kind of chuckled. Now, of course, I shared with you that I didn't particularly care. How are you going to sit there and say in 8 years as the police chief, I inherited a police department was under a 13-year consent decree, a demoralized police department, the police department that was defunded when I took over, the fact that the community had no confidence or trust in the police department, and how things shifted. Now, so for him to say that, what qualifies him to make that statement? Because he was once the Michigan Attorney General? Really? How many times has he been in Detroit? What does he even know about Detroit? And oh, by the way, so you in 1 minute praise Mike Duggan, but through the artwork of Karen Dumas, he then switches. I mean, at least be consistent. Maybe it was a little drink he was sipping on that you gave him, Charlie. I don't know. But the fact remains that
In vino veritas.
talking about. Oh, and by the way, you're talking about a sitting attorney general runs against the nerd, who's relatively unknown.
Rick Snyder versus Mike Cox. Yeah.
But guess what happened? Rick Snyder won the primary and the general.
And now you're drinking black water from Flint. See how that all works out. See how that works out.
But at any
That black
rate,
water's expensive, Charlie. Don't
it's very
don't
expensive.
trivialize it. It's very
But
expensive.
It's good water. I mean, it's very good water.
They
And now
gotta
they
come up
come
with the
in.
money to replace the pipe somehow.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, look, I believe that Mike Cox is considering, mulling it around, that there's a wide open chair for the Republican nominee for Senate. Debbie Stabenow is retiring. Are you, sir, willing to announce your campaign for the Republican nomination for Michigan?
Well,
Senate for Michigan?
unlike what happened when I was running for governor, and you broke the great news. You did it, Charlie. I give it to you.
Help me again. Make some tonight.
I am in an exploratory phase, and one thing I get to do now, I'm not pressured. I get to talk to people that invested in me. I get to talk to people that support me. I get to talk to, and I had a great conversation with Newt Gingrich last week. Great conversation. So what I'm doing is I'm doing my due diligence. You know, is this the right thing to do? And so if Mike Cox, did you say he's contemplating or considering it?
Mulling, whispered.
Well, tell him he should just continue to work at his law firm and do that. That'd probably be a good bet for him.
Hey, Mike, if you're hearing that,
Oh, he's
right
heard
there.
it.
You heard it,
Hey,
Mike.
coming from his friend.
So now listen, if you have an exploratory committee, that means you file paperwork. You have filed paperwork.
No, I said I'm exploring it.
Or you're exploring an exploratory committee.
I'm evaluating. I put it this way: if that's the decision, I'll go right into making the decision and say I'm going to do it. But right now, maybe I shouldn't have used the word exploratory,
Yeah.
but I'm evaluating whether or not this is the right thing to do.
I appreciate
because
that.
it's a big commitment. It really is a big commitment, as you know, Charlie. You know better than I know.
They got $50 million on the Democratic side.
Right. They got a lot of money, and money's the oil that keeps that engine running. It's a big deal. But not only that, there's something you said earlier, Charlie, that I couldn't actually you and Detroit read. You know, whether you're a police chief, a mayor, a governor, or a senator, or anybody who's elected, we work for the people, period. No exceptions. And the hypocrisy today is this. When you hear all this radical speak about defund the police, are you talking for your constituents? Because the people I know in Detroit, particularly the people who live in vulnerable communities, they want the police. They want constitutional policing, but they don't want to defund them. So where's all this radical rhetoric coming from? And so...
Wait. What's this got to do with running for Senate? That was so smooth. I was like, wait a minute.
He's talking like a politician now, Charlie.
Oh my God, that was wow.
I do got a quick question.
But that came from the heart, and I mean that. There's nothing in it, but my wiring is serving people. But when I was the police chief, not just serving people, but serving the cops. I mean, it's twofold. And sadly, that doesn't happen today in a lot of places.
Yep.
Chief Craig, let me ask you a quick question. If you do decide to run, you win the position. Now that we've brought to light some of these ethics and all this that's going on in Michigan, will you be one of the first to propose putting something in place to change what's going on?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Let me tell you. That's such an easy question. Oh, that was like a big softball.
No, but because, see, you got to remember who raided their own narcotics unit because of impropriety. I did it. And I mean, did I like doing it? No. We were under, and I'm going to go back and digress again.
No, don't digress. Digress makes a bad show. We're moving forward. We're moving forward. So are you at 50% at least? 50% there? Yes or no? Are you 50?
You know what? I'll give you 50. Because I'll give you 50. And the reason why I'll give you 50, because the feedback I'm getting is very favorable. But as you say, Charlie, I got to consider the fact that when you talk about a Senate race, when Herschel Walker out of Georgia was running against the smooth talking pastor, he raised almost $90 million.
Yeah.
And Michigan is an important state.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not a cakewalk. I'm not sitting here. The Senate race is more expensive than a governor race. It's a critical seat. As it's been pointed out, they haven't had a Republican senator in Michigan since 1990, I think, 1992. So I'm not going to say, especially the last cycle, and you saw what happened. So it's not something that I would do blindly. And if I didn't get the support because this is a race that needs to be financed, just not here in Michigan.
Yeah,
this is a national race.
It's nasty,
as you know.
Yes, I do.
It's national.
Now you said before we were talking about this that you were transitioning. You want to clarify that?
When I talked about transitioning from police chief to politician.
Oh.
What was you talking about?
I wasn't sure, but I don't.
Come on! I forgot what.
He was so in the zone.
Chief,
he forgot where he was.
Chief, can I ask you a question? I mean, so is this what your days are spent doing, examining your next political campaign or effort? I mean, is that what your days are comprised of now?
Yeah, primarily my focus. I mean, I have other things I'm doing too. I do a little public speaking, and I just got a call from Los Angeles. They want to know a little bit more about Greenlight. So and then I do some TV as a policing pundit. I'll do that. But in terms of most of my time is consumed with evaluating this opportunity. And so I'm calling people that supported me when I ran for governor. I want to hear from them. I want to hear what they're saying, and do they think it's a good idea for me to run? And then certainly, people approach me and say, I really think you should consider running for U.S. Senate. So I'm weighing all of that. Because
would you consider running for mayor of the city of Detroit?
I have said in the past that I would not run against Mike Duggan. However, if not Mike Duggan, and it was open, I probably would do it. But Karen, one of the issues, I'm a Republican. Have they ever had a Republican mayor in the city of Detroit?
They have one now.
Yeah,
right.
And the last one went to prison. Louis Mariani, 1968. Now, sir, moving along now. You're still a national name. They even had you on Fox News last night in the weasel that filled Tucker Carlson, so the Tucker wannabe. So, just quickly, what'd you make? Is Fox going to miss Tucker? Yes or no?
I would say yes. I think their ratings have tanked a bit, and the person I interviewed with, Lawrence Jones, who I have tremendous respect. In fact, Lawrence Jones flew out from New York to cover me on my last working day as Detroit police chief. He did a great expose. We went out to the Colony Arms on Jefferson. It was a wonderful piece he did. So I support him. I think what Fox is doing is rotating um, different hosts to see the fit, because clearly when they've lost some ratings during that hour.
Wouldn't let me come out to no collar in the arms on your last day of work.
You could have. You could have come out to Colony Arms.
You say
But I
stand
don't
over
know,
there.
Charlie.
Stand over
I
there.
would have told you. I said it might be a little dangerous for you, Charlie.
Now look here. This we talked about. Tucker Carlson, potential reasons, last week why he may have been dismissed, and he was dismissed because we did text this week, and he said that it probably had to do with Dominion, and that it's good for a man to be fired once in a while, that it's good for his character, and that I would know that. And I said, I don't know what wiki page you've been reading, dude, but I haven't been fired from a job since I was 15 at that steakhouse. And he said, well, I dishwashed too at 15, but I never got fired from nothing. And I go, well, Godspeed to you, right?
Shit, I'm still dishwashing. What
But
the hell?
but this shows up today. This is like they're trying to milk this one. This is what the New York Times is writing today, that maybe the board was concerned about this. Shall I read you most of you don't have the New York Times. Here's a new tweet. Apparently, this is so crazy you'd be fired, is the number one person on cable. He wrote to somebody, right, on the string on January 7th. A couple weeks ago, I was watching a video of people fighting on the street in Washington. A group of Trump guys surrounded an Antifa kid and started pounding the living shit out of him. It was 3 against 1 at least. Jumping a guy like that is dishonorable, obviously. It's not how white men fight. Yet suddenly I found myself rooting for the mob against the man, hoping they hit him hard or kill him. I really wanted them to hurt the kid. I could taste it. Then somewhere deep in my brain, an alarm went off. This isn't good for me. I'm becoming something I don't want to be. The Antifa creep is a human being. Because I despise what he says and does, much as I'm sure I'd hate him personally if I knew him, I shouldn't gloat over his suffering. I should be bothered by it. I should remember that somebody somewhere probably loves this kid and would be crushed if he was killed. If I don't care about those things, if I reduce people to their politics, how am I better than he is? But what the New York Times picked out of this was, that's not how white men fight. Did you all read this as a racist diatribe?
I saw it. I saw it, Charlie, and I can see that people would cherry pick, and I'm not saying it was proper. He acknowledged, even in his statement, that, oh wow, I'm losing. He acknowledges that seeing this Antifa suspect being beaten that way is not a good thing. He's somebody's son or brother. And so I recognize that, personally, and I think you would agree. I've always liked Tucker. I mean, Tucker certainly had a big following, and certainly when I've gone on his show, it certainly put me in a national light. Not that excuses any bad behavior, because I've followed it with a lot of intensity. I mean, even some of the things where they've caught him off camera saying, the F word, and Bill O'Reilly. They had something in one of the news articles today. So,
but I know I'm saying here specifically.
But I think he's gonna probably come out of this in a much larger way.
But he's saying here, it's not how white men fight, right? Okay, if he said it's not how men fight, it wouldn't be a thing, right? But
it wouldn't be a fight. And
I know men, and they talk like that. White men talk like that, black men talk like that, brown men talk like that. That's not what we do, right? And he's talking about white men beating up. I'm assuming the Antifa kid was a white man. Okay,
I'm assuming, yeah.
I don't know why you put it, but there's a deeper message in there, I think, about I want to hate, but I shouldn't. But I just see that getting blown up bigger than it should, because I will give you, this is, looking at the discovery, if you pull those PDFs up, here's what he also said, January 7th, early in 3 in the morning, right after the day's events, okay? It's what he texted. Right. And this is what I think he was texting to me. Well, to explain what things meant about the day would require explaining why people think the election was stolen. I get that we have to thread the needle and we have an audience with certain beliefs. So it's tough. It's just frustrating. It's impossible to accurately explain today's events without mentioning the president and the lies. Not just the lies about the fraud, but maybe more importantly, the lies about giving people hope. As Charlie and I said in the group chat the other day, countless people ask us if Trump still can pull this off. It's a shame so many think that. So what he was telling you, bigger with Dominion, is it was a lie. It was fraud. And we're trying to thread a needle and not speak honestly. Like, if I'm going to rip that local guy, I'm going to rip Tucker because you never explicitly, we're calling it fraud. You started shifting. All of Fox did that. And that is so rotten and nasty.
It is rotten. And I got to tell you, it was, when I heard that, it was hurtful because I used to give Fox a lot of credit for trying to report honestly and balanced. And when the inference is that we want to perpetuate the lie because we don't want to sour our audience. I remember when I met with the former president out in Mar-a-Lago, and in our conversation, I'll say it, it's no secret, he said, you were a great police chief, you did wonderful work, but you let them steal the election in Wayne County and Detroit. I said, well, all due respect, Mr. President, I didn't let anybody steal anything. One, I'm not the election police. I said, had I learned personally of impropriety, I would have turned it over to the appropriate authority. But I wasn't personally going to peddle that the election was stolen unless, and I did say, well, if there are a lot of people that have concerns, how about we initiate a forensic audit? I mean, judges had already opined, several of them, that there were no problems. So who am I to come in with no facts and say it, well, the election was stolen here in Wayne County, Detroit, Michigan? Absolutely not.
You don't believe
without evidence.
You don't believe that, right? You don't have seen
No,
any
I don't
evidence.
I have not seen any evidence. Now, do I think that some folks have concerns about voting that need to be addressed? But does that mean the election was stolen? No, it doesn't.
Right. I say this. I'll say, look, I'll watch this. Yeah, we could have done a general audit. We could have done five people from each county and see if they were dead or they had moved away. Real simple.
Exactly.
But there was no evidence, none. No court case, none. I was at TCF, none. There was no stealing of the election, period. And if you want to hate me and I lose the audience, I don't care, because at some point you got to come around and somebody got to tell you the truth, whether it's about being on a vacation, right? Or how you're going to vote, or where we're going to go as a people. You agree?
And that's part of the problem. It's this not being, and I guess because I was a police officer and I understand the value of an investigation or a forensic audit, those things matter. But to have me just say, well, it was stolen, just because I want to get maybe an endorsement or get some sort of support, to me, that's reckless.
So let me get this then, because I don't want to put words in your mouth. Are you willing to say here that, like a headline, James Craig says he sees no evidence that the election was stolen?
No, I have seen no evidence.
I have seen no evidence that the election was stolen.
I have seen no evidence that the election was stolen.
Okay.
Now,
wait, let's let that hang a minute. Let's let that hang a minute. Okay. That's big, man. That's big. Because that's how that's big.
But that doesn't mean that we should make sure that elections are secure.
Well, duh. I know.
And I know, I get that. But the thing is, heck, the number one top-rated anchor in cable news privately said he didn't believe it. And so did other folks say they didn't believe it.
Right.
Because they too saw no evidence. And to me, evidence matters. So, and I think how I came into it with the former president is because I did show up at TCF on an occasion, and
I didn't see you.
Well, no. What happened was
That
there
was
a call there.
that was a fraudulent chief of police. No, I'm just kidding.
So anyway, I get there, and the reason why I responded to the location because there were a group of people outside. You know where they were doing all the.
Oh yeah, that was the
counting.
next day. That was on Wednesday when the votes had already been counted.
They already been, but it was a big disturbance in the lobby area of TCF.
Terrible.
So I get there and they complied. I said, you can't do this here. This is not going to be allowed. It wasn't that we're not going to let you go in and disrupt a process, but you can't violate the law. I didn't care what side you were leaning, whether it was left or right. We just not, and that's what law enforcement does. We maintain and restore peace. We'll go to voting locations, not to make sure the votes are properly tabulated, but just to maintain peace and ensure there are no laws violated.
Well, that was funny because the Secretary of State and the county clerk and the city clerk, you were supposed to make sure police were there, and they weren't. That was so right. Anyway, we're getting on our hour. We're getting on our hour, sir. Last word right here. Go ahead.
Well, as always, you said something. I want to make this clear. And you said it to Mike Cox because he was so afraid to come on your show, so concerned. And that's shameful.
But he actually came on. He came on.
Well, yeah, after you cajoled him and gave him a drink.
Yeah, but he came on. He was right there.
He did, but I've come on several times.
Never
and
in
I know
person.
I've been there in person with you.
Yeah, I know. Not the new place. The new place?
Yeah, one time.
Yeah, I've been there. The new
I gotta
place.
stop drinking that brown water. I gotta switch to the
It's black, Charlie.
Oh my
It's
God.
black.
I apologize about that.
It will.
Imported
One
mess.
thing about this water that's got a bunch of minerals in it, it will improve your memory.
You're invested in that, aren't you? You bought some of that.
Who do we bill?
No, I'm not invested in it. I just like it. It's good. And Karen knows about
Black
it.
gold.
It's good.
All right, well, thank you. Listen, appreciate it. When you officially do it, you'll let us know.
I'm going to let you know.
All right, good luck to you. Thank
That's
you
my
so much
commitment.
for being on. And
Hey,
just
thank you.
because it makes me feel so good, can we see those pictures again?